Sim racing gloves. You either love them or you hate them or you use them to protect your will. So how do FreeM's new sim racing gloves compare to other gloves on the market like Abruzzi and Sparco and Real Feel or Feel It gloves rather, which I've done in the past? Well, let's try them out and review them and see how we get on. So what comes in the pack then? Well, it simply is the gloves and that on the back, which basically just goes over what actually the gloves are. It's Italian, so it just says Sim Racing gloves, and then the word for gloves in Italian, Sim Racing. The pros of these gloves are that you're able to use your sort of phone or your tablet to use touch sensitive. They're very thin, which is something that I was looking for in gloves, so it'd be interesting to see how that turns out while using them. And also, it has a little tongue, so you're able to pull them down, and they're breathable, so hopefully they don't start to stink like some gloves I've used in the past have done. So what we'll do is, guys, take the gloves out of the pack so you can see them. So this is what they look like. You can see the thumb and the forefinger, that they have the special material for basically being able to use your tablet or your phone. And then the tongue right there for pulling them down, and then this mesh on the front, which is very almost sticky like, so hopefully it's good for gripping the wheel. And I have to say, these are very thin. They're almost made out of a similar material, I'd say, for what you get for t-shirts, like sports t-shirts. That's how they feel. The feel, I bought the small. I don't have too small hands, but I like quite tight gloves. The feel is pretty nice. See how they feel the wheel. Yeah, they feel nice on the wheel and very thin. So what we'll do is we'll get into some driving and then see my thoughts at the end of the video. So what's it been like then, driving with these gloves for the last couple of weeks? Well, I've had no issues using them, rubbing my hand and giving me any sores or any pressure points on the gloves themselves, which is good, because it's saying that possibly can happen when it comes to tips of your fingers with material pushing in, but I've not had any of that, which has been good. Quality wise, you can tell this is a new product and it's sort of in its first stages of it going out on the general market, as I've had certain issues of the thumb rubbing, you can see that, and also in the palm the white pieces are deciding if the camera will focus. Won't focus now. As you can see, the white pieces are starting to come off on certain parts of the glove, which is annoying. But I contacted FreeM and they've been really good in handling my situation, and they sent me out another pair straight away, which was great. So let's go in then to the pros and cons in these gloves, and have a mini comparison as well, comparing them to Abruzzi's and to just a pair of Sparco gloves that I've looked at before. So pros of these gloves then, let's go over them. So number one is they're light and they're thin. which, if this is something you're looking for, because when you first start looking for gloves and you try anything sort of, I'd say standard, it can be a real sort of hard thing to get used to, is a thick pair of gloves. So if you're racing on a wheel that isn't overly powerful, I definitely think this would be something that you want to pick up, like the Thrustmaster wheels, because some of them have Alcantara rims, the Ferrari rims. This would probably be a good bet to go with the fact that it's thin, you wouldn't lose much feel, and you'd also be able to protect your rim with these gloves. So that's definitely a plus side. The second pro is the touch sensitivity. This is something that is fantastic if you need to quickly tap something on your phone and or your tablet if you've got it next to you. If you use it for sim racing, there's like a hub or something, or a telemetry screen. I think a feature that sort of, I guess it could be classed as a pro, even though it's sort of, so you think, how's this pro? You can leave these on and type on your keyboard because of how thin they are. They do not affect your ability to type as much as other gloves, like the Abruzzi ones I have here that are much thicker. So typing with these is virtually impossible having them on. Breathability. I've used these, like I said, for about 3 weeks now, and I have not had an issue with these gloves at all as starting to become smelly or my hands sweating in races, which is a reality of sim racing when you're doing long periods or it's quite tough with a DD wheel and you sweat a bit, you get clammy hands, just the reality of it, but nothing like that has happened. Another pro is definitely the internal stitching. It's fantastically well done. There is not much leftover material, unlike the Sparco gloves I have here, where Sparco gloves would literally, as soon as you turn it inside out, there is a lot of material on the inside, and the Felix gloves as well, Real Feel. They had a lot of excess material just left inside and stitching that was just left flailing, so definitely a plus pro there. And finally, I'd say the design of these gloves is really quite cool. I know there's no customization, hopefully that might be something they offer in the future, but the simple fact is they sort of mould to your hand and the design is very well done, which is great to see from a brand and a company that deals in real motorsports getting into sim racing in such a brilliant way. So now let's go over some of the cons then of these gloves. What are the couple that I've come up with, or that I feel like have happened to me using the DD wheel? Well, it would appear they are not very durable, as you could see in the video footage. The white pieces have started, or the rubber has started to come away on, for some reason, my middle finger and the inside of my glove, meaning that the padding for gripping is starting to disappear slightly. And the middle of the glove, or the material they've used on the inside for some reason, it's not very grippy compared to the other two gloves that I've mentioned, so the Abruzzi or the Sparco ones. I think this is because they've used a material that's man-made and not cotton, or if it is cotton rather, it's very slippy, because if I'm in the centre of my hand, it moves really easily, which if you're holding the wheel and you're sort of fighting against what you're doing, it will slip. It will slip in your hand. So that's a slight con, but that's something they could possibly change in the future if they just changed the material on the face to something that was I'd say not thicker, but something that is a bit more almost sticky to your hand, like a cotton or something which is in these gloves, because it's a lot stickier. One thing to note as well, I'd say for some reason I've got the smalls, and I spoke to my friend who got these as well, and for some reason the thumb seems to be halfway in the middle with the touchpad, which I'm not sure quite why that is, and the fingers for me are too long. They're just, because if I pull it out to how tight I actually like having the glove in the palm of my hand, I pull it tight rather, the fingers still have quite a lot of excess material. Now, I wouldn't say I've got small hands, I'd say I've got average hands like most people, but yeah, I definitely think if you're getting these, go a size down to what you're thinking anyway, and then go from there. So, final thoughts then on this glove. They're a fantastic basis to FreeM to start to look into gloves for sim racing. The design is fantastic and they are definitely high quality. So, would I advise you to pick these up? I would say pick them up on the peril that they may start to degrade, or wait and see if they come out with a revision. But the glove itself is definitely nice and you get used to the thin feeling, that's for sure. Well, they're an innovative design and I think FreeM have got a future in designing really good gloves for sim racing. I think as a basis to start out, this is fantastic, and I think going forward, if they were just able to do something with the front of this glove and the thumb, as I've mentioned, this would be a perfect pair of sim racing gloves. So hopefully guys, this has helped you make a decision on the FreeM gloves and giving you an insight as to what they look like and how they feel while you're wearing them. This is Billy Goat Boy signing out. See you guys in the next one.